Growing up, I always felt like I was living in someone else's shadow, my brother Adam's, to be exact. He was everything my parents ever wanted in a son: charming, athletic, loud, and always the center of attention. The golden boy. He could do no wrong, even when he did everything wrong. Me, I was the quiet one, the bookworm, the kid who stayed in on weekends to read or draw or build little machines out of scrap parts, while Adam was out partying or sneaking in girls after my parents went to bed. But none of that mattered, because in my house Adam was the sun, and the rest of us just orbited around him. I tried God, I tried to make them see me. I brought home straight A's, won spelling bees, led debate teams, created award, winning science fair projects. And every time, I'd look at my parents hoping for a flicker of pride. It never came. They'd nod absent-mindedly or mumble, "That's nice," before turning their attention back to Adam. It was like my successes were background noise to his bare minimum. One time, I remember being about 14, I got accepted into a regional gifted program, something only 5 kids in the district had qualified for. I was bursting with excitement, waving the letter in front of my mom while she cooked dinner. She didn't even look up. "That's good," she said. "Can you take the trash out? Adam has practice tonight and needs to rest." That night, I cried in my room quietly, so no one would hear. Not that they would have cared if they did. It wasn't just that they ignored me, it was that they didn't even seem to notice I existed unless I was doing something wrong. If Adam left dishes in the sink, it was no big deal. If I forgot, I'd get a full-blown lecture. When I turned 16 and got my first job, they told me I needed to start contributing to the household. Adam never had to. He was always focused on his future, while I was just expected to carry weight he never had to. Still, I held on to hope that maybe someday, if I worked hard enough, became successful enough, did everything right, they'd finally see me. They'd finally love me the way they loved him. When I walked out of my parents' house that day after they laughed in my face about missing my wedding, something inside me shut off completely. I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I didn't beg them to explain. I just walked away, and that silence, that choice to say nothing, was the most powerful thing I'd ever done. For the first time in my life, I wasn't trying to earn their approval. I wasn't waiting around for them to love me. I was done. It wasn't easy, cutting ties. There were moments when I'd pick up my phone, tempted to call, to give them another chance. But then I'd remember the smirk on my mom's face, the coldness in my father's eyes, and I'd put the phone back down. Instead, I poured all that pain into building my life from scratch. I focused on my marriage with Nora, the one person who had chosen me, seen me, and loved me for everything I was and everything I wasn't. She believed in me when no one else did. With her support, I went all in on my dreams. I started freelancing as a developer, then launched my own software platform. The hours were brutal at first: late nights, early mornings, ramen noodles for dinner, wondering if I'd made a mistake, but I was finally building something that was mine. Every small success felt like a step out of the darkness they'd kept me in. And when things started to take off, when the money finally came, it felt like a quiet victory. No applause, no "we're proud of you." But it didn't matter anymore. We bought a home, small at first, then bigger. Traveled, laughed, we had our first child, a little girl with her mother's eyes and my quiet curiosity. Holding her in my arms, I made a silent promise. She would never wonder if she was loved. I was going to be everything my parents weren't. As the years went on, my company grew. My name started to show up on panels, podcasts, tech magazines. I was doing things no one in my family thought I could do, and still not a word from them. No calls, no messages, no acknowledgement. They had cut me out just as cleanly as I had cut them out. It had been nearly a decade of silence when they finally called. A random number flashed on my phone late one evening. I was putting my daughter to bed, reading her favorite story for the 3rd time, when I saw it vibrating on the nightstand, and I almost ignored it, but something made me pick up. I answered with nothing but a flat hello. And there it was, my mother's voice. Shaky, thinner than I remembered. "Hi, it's Mom." Just hearing her say those words sent a chill down my spine. I didn't respond right away. I waited, let the silence grow heavy, let her speak first. And she did. She started by asking how I was, but it didn't sound like she cared. It sounded rehearsed, like she was working her way toward something else. Then she said it, "We need help." Just like that. No build-up, no apology, no reflection on the years of absence or pain. Just need. I could hear it in her voice. Desperation, fear, shame, all tangled together. She went on to explain everything, like she was finally letting the curtain fall on the perfect life they used to brag about. My father had gotten 6 serious heart problems, she said. Medical bills were piling up. Their retirement savings had disappeared. The business they once bragged about their family, owned hardware store, had gone under during the pandemic. And Adam, the golden boy, he'd vanished, moved to another country after blowing through his inheritance, started some failed crypto scheme, and stopped returning their calls. They were alone. No money, no support, no family. Just each other, and now apparently me. It was surreal. For so long, I'd imagined what it would feel like to hear them say they needed me, but it wasn't satisfying, not yet. It felt almost hollow, like they were strangers who had once worn the faces of my parents. She kept talking, her voice cracking in places, mentioning how they'd fallen behind on the mortgage, how they were at risk of losing the house. We thought maybe you could help, just for a little while. I could picture her sitting in the same living room where they had once laughed at my pain, same couch, same silence after every time I had asked for love. I let her words hang in the air, every syllable echoing like a faint memory I'd long buried. My chest was tight, not from sadness, but from something colder, heavier. Clarity. After everything, they had finally come to me, not out of love, not because they missed me or regretted what they'd done, but because they had no one left. I wanted to ask her where Adam was. I wanted to hear her admit that their golden boy had abandoned them, left them to rot while I, the one they discarded, had built a life they never believed I could, but I didn't ask. I didn't need to. I already knew. She started crying then, soft at first, then louder. Maybe it was guilt, maybe shame, or maybe just fear of what she already sensed I was about to say. I asked her one question. "Do you remember what you said when I asked why you didn't come to my wedding?" The line went quiet. For a moment I thought she'd hung up, but then I heard her breath, shaky, hesitant. She didn't answer. She didn't need to, because I remembered every word, every laugh, every time they looked at me like I was a burden instead of a son. I took a breath and said it as calmly as I could. "You laughed. I let that settle." Then I whispered, "So now, when you ask me for help." I chuckled, not out of joy, not out of spite. It was the kind of laugh that comes when you've finally stopped hoping for something that will never come. A laugh that says, "I've healed enough to never need this conversation again." She tried to interrupt, started saying, "Please, we didn't mean," but I stopped her. I told her that I hoped they found what they were looking for. That maybe one day she'd understand what it felt like to be invisible in your own family. That maybe this was what it took for her to finally see me. Then I hung up, no threats, no screaming, just silence. The same silence they had given me when I was a child. The same silence they had filled with shrugs and smirks while I begged for their attention. I didn't block the number. I didn't follow up. I just moved on. They say revenge is a dish best served cold, but this wasn't about revenge. Not really. It wasn't about payback or making them suffer, though I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel like justice. What it was really about was freedom, letting go of the weight I carried for so many years. The ache of being overlooked, unheard, unloved, all of it melted away the moment I realized I no longer needed their approval, their presence, or even their apologies. I built a life they never believed I could, became someone they never took the time to know, and learned how to love because I had once known what it felt like to go without it. My wife, my daughter, my chosen family. They became the light I was searching for all along. They reminded me that we don't need to keep chasing people who have already shown us they don't want to be caught. In the end, I didn't slam the door in my parents' face. I just chose not to open it. I gave them what they gave me for years, absence, and in doing so, I finally found peace, so when they laughed at my pain, I learned to laugh back not out of spite, but strength. Because sometimes, the greatest revenge is simply becoming everything they said you never would.